The UCP revises its school book ban.
I really don't believe that it's up to politicians and government to decide what is right and wrong for our children to read.
But many parents still think the province is overstepping its authority, plus challenging the city's 2021 climate emergency declaration.
What did this declaration actually mean, and did we need it?
While some question the benefit, the mayor stands by it.
Listening to the climate science is actually a very good thing.
And golf Cubs. Two wrestling bears hold up players on the 18th hole. Hello and thank you for joining us. We begin with breaking news tonight. Strathmore RCMP have issued a shelter-in-place order for the community of Langdon. Langdon is about 40 kilometers or 45 minutes east of Calgary. The order is specifically for residents along Boulder Creek Drive. Police are dealing with an incident that involves firearms, and they are asking residents to stay in their homes and not open the door to anyone. They're also asking people not to post any photos of responding officers on social media so as not to give away their position. We will have an update if any more information becomes available. In Calgary, a cyclist has been seriously injured after getting hit by the driver of a cube van. It happened this afternoon at the intersection of 20th Avenue and 36th Street in the Northeast. The woman in her 70s has been taken to hospital. Paramedics say she was in stable condition. Several roads are closed, including 36th Street. C-train service in the area has also been halted. The province has updated its order to remove sexually explicit books from schools and school libraries. Now the new rule only applies to images of sexual acts. Literature with written passages is not included in the ban. Still, some parents and political experts believe the province has waded into unnecessary territory. Stephanie Thomas explains.
After months of controversy and criticism, the UCP government has finalized its book ban in Alberta schools. Education Minister Dimitrios Nicolaides has updated his earlier ministerial order regarding sexually explicit materials from libraries.
Our concern from the very beginning, as was brought to our attention, was always around the really explicit and visual depictions of sexual activity that we had seen in some of these novels that were brought to our attention.
The ban now only applies to images or pictures of clearly defined sexual acts. Written passages in novels, poems, and works of classic literature are unaffected. The issue of the order garnered international attention and reaction from well-known authors who wound up on a list of banned books released from the Edmonton Public School Board.
Classic literary material stays in school libraries as it should and where it needs to be, but books containing graphic depictions of oral sex are not available to underage elementary children.
Some parents of teens say the province continues to overstep.
I'm infuriated by it. I really don't believe that it's up to politicians and government to decide what is right and wrong for our children to read. That's what teachers are for. That's what librarians are for.
He says the graphic novels that have been singled out often depict characters making personal and sexual discoveries.
And so there's a page or two that has an image that is seen as objectionable. We can't throw the whole book away because of those images.
Political experts and student advocates say the province mishandled the book ban policy without considering potential backlash.
Had they gone through the process of consultation with the school boards, with library associations, they might have prevented this, fairly embarrassing for them, I think, instance.
But this is very unilateral, right? Like a book restriction, book ban from a government, from the state, is a one-way street where school boards have to follow without consultation.
The new deadline for implementation is now January 5th, but boards must provide the government with their lists of literary materials they plan to remove by October 31st.
And Stephanie joins us from the newsroom now. So Stephanie, tell us a little bit more about the order and reaction from teachers and school boards today.
Tara, the updated order aims to increase transparency. School authorities must publicly post a list of literary materials used that aren't contained to a classroom collection. Parents of enrolled students also must be granted a review process about materials on that list. The Calgary Board of Education says it appreciates the revision and additional time for implementation, and it continues to review literary materials. The Catholic Division says it's also working to align with the order. However, the Alberta Teachers Association says the issue is a grand distraction from labor talks.
The book ban plan was and continues to be an unnecessary overreach by government. These changes made to the ministerial order provide more clarity. However, supports for students and teachers and schools who are doing the work need to be clearer in terms of implementing these requirements that need to be put in place.
A reminder, an agreement between teachers and the province has not yet been reached, and there still could be a strike before the ATA's mandate expires on October 7th. Tara.
Okay, Stephanie, thank you. A judge was told today a Calgary man was shot to death in a failed robbery over a backpack in the northwest community of Capitol Hill 2 years ago. Robert Joseph Matthews is charged with the second-degree murder of Jordan Jacques Vetten. Terry Fikowski joins us from the Court Centre tonight. So, Terry, take us through the first day of trial.
Tara, the man who found the victim covered in blood in September of 2023 testified today, saying that he was woken up in the early morning hours to a loud bang, went down the stairs to find blood spattered across his front door, and then saw the victim through the window on his front porch. A neighbor also testifying that they heard loud shouting, heard a gunshot, and then saw a red vehicle car racing down the street. Now, in court today, we heard that 33-year-old Jack Vetten finished his shift around 2:30 in the morning as a line cook at L Furniture Warehouse on Stephen Avenue. The Crown's theory is that Matthews and another man shot the victim, a stranger, in the chest in the 1700 block of 18th Avenue Northwest shortly after. They believe Jack Vetten wouldn't give up his colorful backpack, something he was still wearing when first responders arrived on scene. An 18-year-old man is also charged in the case but cannot be identified because he was a youth at the time of the killing. Prosecutors argue there are text messages between Matthews and his co-accused which show they planned on robbing and even shooting people that night. They claim Matthews admitted to the shooting on some papers as well that were found during a search of a rural property in Chestermere, which read, "I hope he died because he deserves to for being so naive in the world. We don't need cowards or liberal scum procreating." Now, the prosecution also argues that Matthews confessed to the killing to a female friend. He has pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder, and Tara, the judge-alone trial is scheduled to last 14 days.
Okay, Terry Fikowski at the courthouse. Terry, thank you. A 12-year-old boy accused of trying to kill his younger brother in Lethbridge has been ordered to remain in custody. The boy is accused of repeatedly stabbing his 7-year-old brother at the family's home late last month. According to investigators, the boy claimed a man had come into their home and stabbed the younger boy and then took off. The victim is recovering after being airlifted to hospital in Edmonton. The boys cannot be identified under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. Parks Canada has issued a warning for a campground in Banff National Park, saying wolves have been spotted in the area. The warning is for Two Jack Lakeside and will remain in place until further notice. Parks Canada says the wolves have shown bold behavior and are advising people to use caution when traveling or camping in the area. That includes carrying bear spray. A small wildfire near Moose Meadows in Banff National Park is now classified as being held. Parks officials say it's not likely to spread beyond its current size of about 2 hectares. Over the next few days, crews will work to put the fire out. It may also mean that at times smoke will be visible from the Trans-Canada Highway and 1A. That fire was reported on Saturday. Calgary Council's climate emergency declaration is again in the crosshairs as a proposal seeks to rescind the action and audit any spending connected to it. Jordan Canagan is at City Hall tonight, and Jordan, Council will debate ending the declaration next week.
Tara, earlier this morning, it was a committee that agreed to put this issue to council for a full debate. And it is worth noting that 3 out of the 4 councillors who have put forth this motion to rescind that declaration actually voted in favor of implementing it in the first place 4 years ago. The sitting members of Communities First are pitching the idea of ending the climate emergency declaration immediately. They also want a full audit of what the city has spent on climate policies in the last 4 years to determine if it's been worth it and whether it's contributed to increased spending. The motion says Calgary's Climate and Environment Unit has $26 million operating budget and has also spent $22 million in capital spending this year. Councillor Sonia Sharp, who voted in favor of the declaration in 2021, says she can admit her misstep and things have changed. Meantime, the mayor says the action shows the city is taking climate change seriously and calls this latest motion politicking just weeks ahead of an election.
So I think people are waffling and flip-flopping because we are getting into an election season. So whatever is populist and can stir the pot and get you some news headlines is the way some people choose to go.
What I'll say is it's more of the political stunt of staying in your lane. And there is great work we're doing to reduce our own emissions as a corporation. But what did this declaration actually mean, and did we need it?
Now, a major issue some of the councillors have is the use of the word emergency in this declaration. They say that the city should have climate policies and should do climate mitigation planning. They just shouldn't treat it as an emergency. And they argue that the use of that word is actually impacting the amount of funding the city can get through the province. Now, if council does approve this notion, a notice of motion to repeal that emergency declaration, it does not mean that climate planning will come to an end here in Calgary. Most of that will continue, and some councillors say it will continue just as it did prior to 2021 without that formal declaration. Tara?
Okay, Jordan Cannigan at City Hall. Jordan, thank you. Danielle joins us now for our first peek of the forecast. It's still a little smoky out there.
It is a little smoky, and you know what? We're having a change in the weather pattern, so we have unstable weather that's moving in, but this is going to switch our wind direction, so it will make it less smoky for tomorrow. So maybe you won't be stuffed up like me because I get stuffed up from the smoke. Okay, so let's talk about this, because here's what's happening just to the west. You can see a little bit of thunderstorm activity to the west of the city, and that has the possibility to track into the city. So for the next few hours, showers, thunderstorms, certainly a potential here. 24 degrees is the temperature at this moment. Winds are relatively calm at the airport. All right, your 24-hour forecast brought to you by Fifth Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit fifthavvw.com. And again, we have the potential for thunderstorm activity for the next couple of hours, and then quiet overnight, except where we may see a few isolated showers. When we talk about air quality, it looks like we'll be at moderate up and through tomorrow morning, but then it will start to make its way out tomorrow afternoon as we get those gusty winds out of the south. Tomorrow, just a small risk of any sort of thunderstorm activity and a high of 26. Tara?
Thank you, Danielle. Back to school and back to sports for thousands of Albertans, but more than skill is required to make the team. The proof of gender form that all female athletes must now fill out. And the Wild Rose Motocross Association fights to keep its track. We'll tell you what may go into this location instead. Everyone was okay when this WestJet plane made a hard landing in St. Martin on Sunday. The flight from Toronto had a problem with its landing gear and the right wing was damaged. Emergency services deployed foam as a precaution and passengers got out on emergency slides. Canada's Transportation Safety Board is now sending a team of investigators to look into what happened. The airport reopened this morning. Air Canada flight attendants resoundingly rejected the company's wage offer, with over 99% of them saying no thanks. The rejected tentative deal raised wages for workers and established a pay structure for time worked when aircraft are on the ground. It included a 12% salary increase this year for most junior flight attendants and an 8% bump for more senior members, followed by smaller raises in the following years. The wage issue will now head to mediation and then to arbitration if necessary. There will be no strike or lockout, meaning flights will continue to operate. As female athletes in Alberta sign up to play sports this fall, they are also being given a provincially mandated form that requires them to confirm their gender at birth. Students like Natalie Elzinga were told they wouldn't be allowed to play unless they filled out a new piece of paperwork. The form follows the province's Fairness and Safety in Sport Act. It requires women and girls to prove they were born biologically female. Under the act, boys do not have to fill out the form.
I'm not trans, I'm not queer in any way, shape, or form, but I know that this is terrifying for people who are.
They don't care about trans athletes in sport. Otherwise, they would care about all trans athletes in sport.
The provincial government says the rules are about fairness and safety. Calgary City Council will decide next week whether to acknowledge motorsports in the city's sports landscape, as a nonprofit is set to lose its track. It comes as the city of Calgary looks to build a new South Central bus garage and possibly extend 50th Avenue on what is currently land leased by the Wild Rose Motocross Association. The Motocross Association has a fully built racetrack which would have to be removed. The motion calls for council to include include Wild Rose Motocross in its recreational facility plans. The group has formed a committee to petition to save the park. All right, well, there should be plenty of sunny days ahead, which is nice. We're into September. You never know what can happen, but it looks pretty good.
It looks pretty good, and a normal daytime high for this time of year is 18, and we'll be well into the 20s for the next 5 to even 10 days.
Love it.
Yes. So I'll show you that 10-day trend in just a moment here. Skywatch weather cam showing you, it's hazy out there. We have partly cloudy skies behind all this smoke, but we also have some smokier conditions. We are sitting at that moderate level on the air quality health index, and we will start to improve, and you'll notice a difference by tomorrow afternoon. Here's a look at temperatures, current temperatures, 24 in the city of Calgary, 24 as well in Brooks, and those lower 20s for Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, mid-20s for Milk River. So most communities in southern Alberta in the 20s, except for, of course, cooler off to the west at this point, 18 degrees right now in Banff. Okay, when we look at satellite and radar imagery, there is a couple things going on. We can expect this instability to continually build into the mountains and then track off into the foothills, and even potentially off as far as QE2 and Highway 2 later in the day for these next few days. This is what's happening right now. So in the city of Calgary, we do have the potential over these next 3 hours, throughout these next 3 hours, of getting any sort of isolated shower or non-severe thunderstorm activity. Then it quiets down pretty much for the night. But you can see there is enough going on to the west, and these are able to track as far east as the city of Calgary, QE2 and Highway 2. This is the future cast, so this is looking as we go through the evening hours. So again, we have that line of showers and thunderstorms possible. Then that dies out, but by the midnight hour, we may see another line develop that could deliver some isolated showers to the city. Then it's quiet for the morning hours. We'll talk about smoke, though, in just a second. Quiet for tomorrow morning, some mainly sunny skies behind what may be some smoke. And then later in the day, that development once again. Now, there's a smaller chance that we will see it in the city for tomorrow, but there is that potential, and this model is showing that closer to the supper hours. Okay, and then say a similar idea as we head into Wednesday as well, that late day instability closer to the supper hours and early evening hours. Now, we don't have any watches, warnings, or statements in southern Alberta, as you can see here, but on the BC side, there is the air quality statement that is in place. Now, we're all going to see an improvement as we head through these next 12 hours, so you can see it lift out. So by tomorrow afternoon, we should have better air quality, and we should pop down to the low risk part of that air quality health index. However, it's temporary because then we have some more smoke that will peak back in here. As you can see by your timestamp, that starts to arrive back in likely on Thursday morning, which will pop us back to moderate on that air quality health index. And we may even get to the higher level late on Thursday. So 26 degrees in the city of Calgary tomorrow, small risk of any sort of late day development. And then we have a decent chance of late day thunderstorm activity or at least some isolated showers late Wednesday. Air quality health index on Wednesday should be low, and then we bump back, get a little smokier on Thursday. At that point, we're looking at a high of 24 degrees. Tara?
Thank you, Danielle. The gondola at Kicking Horse Mountain Resort in Golden, BC is up and running. In March, one of the gondola cabins fell about a meter from the lift cable. 8 passengers inside avoided serious injury. The gondola has been closed ever since. The resort says all of the hanger arms have now been replaced and all required testing is complete. The lift fully reopened to the public yesterday. The Eagle's Eye restaurant is set to open September 15th. It's a vehicle most kids and apparently most adults would love to drive. It's just that you aren't supposed to on a city street. Police pull over a pint-sized car with a full-size driver inside. Premier Daniel Smith is in Colorado until Wednesday. The goal of the trip is to promote the province as a reliable energy partner. The Premier will meet with American officials and industry leaders in both energy and agriculture to strengthen the cross-border relationship. Smith and Colorado's governor previously signed a memorandum of understanding to align and improve regulation. It was also meant to share the best practices in areas like carbon capture and hydrogen development. In 2024, bilateral trade with Colorado totaled nearly $6 billion. The city will discuss reinstating funding to convert an historic downtown building into residences. The Barron Building on 8th Avenue Southwest was originally approved for funding under the Residential Conversion Grant Program. That funding was then paused in 2024 due to cost overruns. The estimated cost has now ballooned to $115 million. 3 councillors argued that the building has already received a $1 million grant for conservation work. They put forward a motion to reinstate $7.5 million for the conversion. Council will debate the motion next week. The cost of the Stop and Go Green Line project has now surpassed $1.5 billion. The latest update on the transit mega project shows the price tag has exceeded $148 million for work done this year alone. The reimagined Green Line broke ground again in June, and work is underway at the intersection of Barlow Trail and 114th Avenue. A functional plan for the line downtown is still being finalized. Phase 1 of the Green Line is projected to cost $6.3 billion. A pretty strange sight in Prince George, BC, when police pulled over a man driving a child-sized pink Barbie Jeep. RCMP say the plastic vehicle pulled into traffic during the busy morning commute on Friday. The joyride ended with the driver being arrested. Police say his driver's license had already been suspended and he failed 2 breathalyzer tests. He was also handed a 90-day driving prohibition. Well, right now in Calgary, it is partly cloudy and 24 degrees. Danielle will be back with the details after a quick break. Stay with us. All right, Danielle's here for our final peek of the forecast.
Yeah, I mean, looking pretty good, and the smoke, we'll get a little bit of a fresher air, which I think we all need. 24 degrees is the temperature, so we're doing well for temperatures. We're well above normal. Normal is 19 degrees for this time of year, and we'll hold on to that warmer air even through next week as well. 26 degrees for tomorrow, and by tomorrow afternoon, we should be low on that air quality health index, which will last through Wednesday, and by Thursday, we might bunk back up and get a little smokier again. For the next 3 days, we have the potential of late day showers or thunderstorms. Tara?
Thank you, Danielle. Well, finally tonight, a playful duo stole the show at a golf tournament in Golden this weekend. CTV viewer Jarrett Langdon captured video of 2 gregarious black bear cubs frolicking and wrestling near the 18th hole. We're told the cubs, who are about 2, were born on or near the course. Golfers took a break while these 2 played on. We're continuing to monitor breaking news in Langdon, where Mounties have issued a shelter-in-place alert. They tell us they are dealing with an incident involving firearms. We'll have updates on our website tonight, ctvnews.ca/Calgary. Thank you for joining us. Our 6 o'clock newscast is preempted for NFL football tonight, but the early edition of CTV National News is next.